Okay, so I've been tuned into every single state of play for like the past couple years now, and I just gotta say this because somebody has to say it. What the hell are these showcases at this point? It feels like every single time I tune into these, there's like maybe 1 or 2 games talked about at most that are actually PlayStation games. Like, we just recently had one that showed off Saros, or whatever the fuck that game is called, and the new Wolverine game. And then, like, I don't know if you want to count this, but like some sort of like patch, I guess, for Gran Turismo or some shit. And that was like all they showed in terms of first party stuff. All the other stuff that they showed was just third party garbage that we already knew about, and a bunch of shovelware shit that no one cares about. And this is no exception. This happens with every single state of play, I swear. It happens with every single one that I watch. And I'm just like, okay, now you can hate on the other showcases that everybody else does as much as you want. I totally hate on stuff that Nintendo does and Xbox does, and I give them some shit there as well. But I feel like PlayStation, in terms of showcases at least, has hit a new low entirely. If this is, assuming this is not the low they've always been at this generation, which it probably is, let's be real. Like, you can say all the excuses that you want. Oh, the Nintendo Direct was bad, they had overpriced games, ports, yada yada. Yeah, they had like 9 first-party games or something. Like, if you add all of that up, that was a Nintendo Direct. Same with the Xbox Showcase thing. Yeah, they didn't have very good stuff, but they had first-party stuff. They had Call of Duty, they had Keeper, they had that fucking Clockwork game or whatever the hell it was. They had their Xbox handheld. But Sony, it seems like they just don't have much to show. Outside of the games in this state of play, they showed a goddamn controller for God of War 20th anniversary. And that's all they're doing is just, it just looks like a PlayStation 5 controller, which is already white, obviously, with a red line on the right side of it. And it's like, well, how did you probably threw that together in like 3 seconds, just like 2 dudes in someone's basement just painted a red line onto a controller. I could make that fucking controller myself if I had a spare white controller and just paint a goddamn red line right down the middle. And that's it. There's no remake, no remaster, no hint of a new game. Fucking nothing in terms of God of War. We got nothing. And then the other weird first party, I guess, kind of related announcement that they had was that they had this weird little trailer for these PlayStation speakers. Like, they're doing some hardware speakers and saying that, look, you can Bluetooth connect your to your computer or whatever and hear the audio through your game better with our new speakers. And it's like, here's the thing. If all these monitors and TVs have shit speakers, chances are you probably already have external speakers that play the audio in 3D out of those monitors and TVs and shit. So what kind of Sony Gooner fanboy is going to buy some PlayStation speakers just to hear all the hits and slashes and blood sound effects of fucking Wolverine instead of just external speakers, which they could have bought years ago already? Sure, Wolverine looks cool. That's great. I'm probably going to end up getting that game. And Saros, that's not really my type of game. It kind of just looks like a third-person Doom to me, just with a bunch of uninspired kind of aesthetics and shit. The combat looks okay, but everything else just looks very boring. And that's it. That's really all they have. Because I remember, and I remember like the last state of play, they had that fucking Marvel Tokon game or whatever the hell it was called, and that was like literally all they had. They technically had Ghost of Yote, but they didn't say anything about that. They just saved that for a separate event, which was absolute dog water, by the way. And then the state of play before that, they had no first-party games outside of Saros. And that's it. They opened that one back in February with like fucking Monster Hunter Wilds or some shit. It's like, at this point, PlayStation is clearly just nothing without their third-party support and all that. They rely so heavily on third-party games. Every single one of these state of plays has a third-party game that was already shown multiple times at a previous state of play that revealed the game, because that's just all they have. We hear nothing from their studios. Where the hell is that intergalactic fucking shit game? if they're so focused on these live service games, at the very least show us them. They've been in the works for years at this point, it seems. I'm not saying that third parties suck or anything, don't get it twisted. If you like third party games, good for you, so do I. But that's not what we tune into these PlayStation State of Plays for. Why do we tune into these specific showcases? Why do we tune into like an Xbox game showcase or a Nintendo Direct or whatever the fuck it is we're watching from these first party developers? Because we bought these consoles and we want to see what they are going to put on their consoles, so that way we know why the fuck we bought their consoles in the first place. If you're going to have some third parties in there, that's fine, but that's not the main meat of what the presentation should be. And to only have PlayStation releases like 1 or 2 games every year, that's barely even an exaggeration at this point. If you go back and look at the previous State of Plays, if you look at their launch lineup that they always have every single year, it's like 2 games. It seems like next year it's going to be Saros and Wolverine, and that'll probably be it. This year it was like whatever that stupid Lost Soul Aside game was that nobody liked, and Ghost of Yotei, which is coming out here in like the next week or 2. And that really sucks, because it wouldn't be so bad with these, droughts of disappointing news if we had games to play in between these releases. But because of how little they release and how little they also update their catalog, there just hasn't been consistent game releases. Like if you look at the Classics catalog that they have on the PlayStation Premium Plus thing, the highest tier of PlayStation Plus, they have like a PS2 catalog, and you would think that that would have the most amount of games, given how many games that system has. I checked it the other day, they have like 25 games on it only or some shit. That wouldn't be so hard to swallow, sure, if it wasn't for the fact that this was the only official way you could play most of their back catalog, with the exception of having an original PS2 and physical games to play on it. But most of those games are completely missing, and you can't even buy most of them. They do this weird thing where they pick and choose what games you can buy from the Classics catalog without subbing to the service, and you can buy them for like $10 a pop, whatever, yeah, that's cool. But it's a very limited selection to an already very limited selection on a subscription service that doesn't offer that much. They announced like 2 fighting games in this last State of Play that are coming to the Classics catalog, and that's all that they've got. They update it like once every half a year, it feels like. They had DLC for freaking Sonic Racing, which has nothing to do with PlayStation, announced only on a PlayStation show. My god. It just... Dude, at this point, even Jeff... Listen. I know that people are going to get mad when I say this, but even Jeff Keighley shows, at this point, are more reasonable, because here's the thing. Everybody and their mom knows to go into Jeff Keighley shows that are 2 hours long and full of random announcements, celebrities. You go into those shows just like the Oscars, knowing that it's only reasonable to expect shit. With something like a PlayStation-specific showcase, though, a State of Play, not just as a gamer overall, okay, as somebody who's like actually a PlayStation fan, as somebody who's interested in PlayStation games and seeing what they have coming down the pipeline, how can you not look at this and say, this is enough for me? Like, this is not enough at all. It's just so tiresome, man. This is such a strange console generation at this point. Like, there are 2 companies that are releasing a lot of games, but only a fraction of them are like super good games. And then PlayStation is barely releasing anything, and they have these PlayStation shows, which honestly, it feels like false advertisement to even call them that at this point. It's just so bizarre. Listen, here's the thing. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe there was more that meets the eye to this, but if any of you dickheads watching this video who are actual PlayStation fans thought this fucking show was good, please put it in the comments why you thought this show was good. Are these shows actually doing enough for you? Because for me, as somebody who just wants the first party, I could play the third party game. I play third party games. I could play them anywhere. Do a separate showcase that's more third party focused if you don't have a lot of first party stuff to show. But when you tune into this and you label it as this, it should be some first-party focus. And I don't just mean a Wolverine trailer at the end, and that's the only first-party game out of a total of like 30 games that you showed today. Yes, that game looks good. I'm gonna get that game. But that's not enough. Like, what are you diehard PlayStation fans even playing at this point? This is no longer the PlayStation, because there's nothing to play first party wise. Anyway, that's the end of this rant. I know I kind of just went in circles and all that. I've never done one of these videos before, but I just wanted to do some kind of off the cuff thoughts about how it's so hard to get excited for these events and how they're misleading and how they're dumb. And I just wanted to get this shit off my chest. So at the time of recording this, the Xbox Tokyo show, or whatever the fuck it's called, I'm sure it'll air at like 5 and I'll miss it. It has not happened yet, so I don't know if that's going to have like more first-party games just on Xbox. But again, even that, like, Tokyo Game Show, like, that's advertised for Japanese games, and even if they're third-party, even that's less misleading because of the name of the show itself. But I've just been rambling on and talking for no apparent reason other than to get this off my chest, so I'm just going around in circles. Thank you guys for listening to this video. Like the video or don't, I don't care. Thanks, bye. Fuck Sony.